Hey everybody, welcome to the Rise or Die podcast with yours truly, Stephen M. Lowisz. This is episode 57, Give Yourself Permission. One of the toughest things that I've struggled with is giving myself permission to be me. Stephen letting Stephen be Stephen. It's kind of redundant. I remember I used to come home every day from a long day of work and talk to my wife. And this is when I first started down the Warriors way, before Invictus was ever born, before it was ever founded, I should say. And I would come home and I would talk to my wife because I was trying to get used to letting emotions out, right? And I swear for probably 4 or 5 days in a row, I would just come home and cry because I had all these bottled up emotions that I wouldn't share with my wife. And one of the things that I started to realize as I went down this path and was trying to get emotions out and be me, I didn't actually know who Stephen was. I didn't know who Stephen was. I didn't know what his goals were. I didn't know what his real personality was because I had bottled it up for so long trying to fit the mold that I was told to fit in. I was trying to live based on other people's rules and guidelines for how I should and shouldn't act, talk, and live. And it did me no favors, because really I ended up just sedating. I was playing a smaller version of who Stephen really was. It's kind of odd to talk in third person, by the way. But I want to really make the point. It was really hard because, for example, I've always been a very intense person. You probably picked up on that throughout the course of, the last 56 episodes of this podcast. I've always been told I was a really intense person, but it was told in a light where it's like, stop being so intense. That's wrong. Mellow out, dude. What the hell's wrong with you? And then, I went to a Christian school for part of my life. I guess they really don't like when you say things like, mellow the hell out. Basically, if you accidentally swear, you're going to hell. I don't believe that's the case. It came down to the point where I was afraid to say or do anything, so I had all of this pent-up energy, and I guess you could even say anger. I wouldn't have called it that originally, but you could say that I had a lot of pent-up anger. Anger that was not serving me, energy that was not serving me, and it came down to the fact that I wasn't being myself. I was trying to be someone that I wasn't because I thought that's who my wife would love more. In fact, she hated it. I thought that's what would get me more success, by trying to fit everyone else's mold so that they would like me and maybe I would get farther in life. Wrong. I was just having this conversation yesterday with someone that I've come to know pretty well. I was coaching and training him like we do in Invictus and trying to teach him the code and the Warriors way and yada, yada, yada. And this guy had the same exact issue that I used to have. It was a lack of giving himself permission. In his case, for me, it was a lack of permission to actually do what I knew was necessary to get where I want to go. And it's something that I even still struggle with. I don't know how long I wrestled with, do I do a podcast or do I not? Do I do it or do I not? And in fact, all the tracks that you can find on Rise or Die, those are the second round. I actually started the podcast. I did probably 15 episodes, hated it, deleted it all, and then I decided to sack up and actually do the podcast. So my issue was execution, knowing what I needed to do, but not actually doing it because I wanted to fit within everyone else's mold. I get a lot of crap for podcasts, for some of the pictures I put up on Facebook, etc. I'm over it. I don't care. Now, this guy that I was talking to, he had more limitations. They were self-imposed limitations. See, he didn't even have the goals and targets because he wouldn't give himself permission to think big. He wouldn't give himself permission to actually think that he could make more than $100K in a year. He didn't give himself permission to actually think he could have a kick-butt marriage and be healthy and have a strong relationship with God. And that's where a lot of people are. They just don't give themselves permission. It's not that any of it's impossible. It's not. 80% of millionaires are self-made, meaning they came from absolutely nothing. They made every dime themselves. I'll be in the same boat soon. Just because my dad did it well doesn't mean that I'm not building it for myself. It's going to be 100% self-made. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be 100K in debt. People don't give themselves permission to dream. They don't give themselves permission to be who they want to be, so then they end up average. Why would you listen to what everyone else is saying and doing? Do you really want to be like them? One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever heard is don't take financial advice from someone that doesn't have as much money as you want to have. Worse yet, a lot of people give financial advice and they make less than you do. What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. You got to give yourself permission to dream big. You have to give yourself permission to be who you want to be. Guess what? Now I love how intense I am. It's my intensity that draws some people and gets rid of others. And the people that flee because of my intensity, I don't hate them. I don't hate them in any way, shape, or form, but I want nothing to do with them. I want those that want to be around me for being me. If a Christian wants to condemn me to hell because I accidentally dropped an F-bomb, I do identify as a Christian, but guess what? I do swear from time to time. If someone wants me to condemn me to hell like many do and say that I'm a greedy workaholic, that's okay. I'm going to be a workaholic, but I'm also going to be addicted to having a kick-butt marriage, kick-butt relationship with God, and kick-butt health. I'm going to have it all. And following the mold that other people have set isn't going to get me there, just like it's not going to get you there. Giving ourselves permission is what's standing in our way. It's not a lack of money, a lack of resources, a lack of a good wife. No. It's a lack of giving yourself permission to stand up and do what you know you need to do. Life is simple. It's not complicated. It is simple. It's hard. It's hard work, but it is simple when you give yourself permission to be you. To be real with the facts in your life. To get raw with the emotions that you're feeling. To stay focused and relevant on the task at hand and focus solely on results. Guess what? Things get really simple. So where across body, being, balance, and business do you need to give yourself permission to be you? Where do you need to give yourself permission to actually be a little crazy? Where do you need to give yourself permission to actually be a psycho and think that... How audacious do you have to be to say that you can have it all? How audacious do you have to be an entrepreneur who also wants to have a kick-butt marriage, who also wants to have health, who also wants to have a relationship with God? How audacious do you have to be? It takes a lot of permission. Give yourself permission today. Give yourself permission today to do what you know that you already need to do. That's what I'll leave you with today as I wrap up episode 57. Give yourself permission. As always, share this podcast with someone that needs a little kick in the ass like you get from me every single day, someone that you want more for out of their life. In addition, subscribe to some of our exclusive content at riseordiepodcast.com.